Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Matheson here. Happy Wednesday. We are going today talk about just the starting steps for a proof. So we're going to talk about how you start any proof, what are the first steps you're going to do, and then I'm going to explain what you're going to do on your homework, and it is posted in the Google Classroom. It's assigned as an assignment, so it will have downloaded one into your Google Drive. Make sure that you resubmit it back to me on Google Classroom as an assignment when you're done. All right, so I'm going to share my document camera. So what I'm doing is I have here for you the proofs off of the form that I emailed out, or didn't email out. It was posted in the Google Classroom on Tuesday, yesterday. So if you had access to a printer and you wanted to print these off, that's great. If you don't, take time to pause the video, jot down this information up here, and make your T-chart statements and reasons. So take some time to pause that if you have to write it now. It is very important that you practice actually physically doing this so that it helps get it ingrained in your brain. So what we're going to do today is the first SSS side proof number 1. This is page 1 if you look in the bottom left corner. So as I said, we're just going to talk about how to start it. So the first thing is you're making your T-chart statements and reasons, and you don't have to have these lines. It's just written in this document to make it a little easier for us. If you don't, just think about mine from yesterday. I don't remember where I put that, but anyways, my one from yesterday. Here we go. I just numbered it, so don't make it difficult. So the very first thing is I'm going to look up here, and I have this written here, and that's a given. And so that's step 1, is the first given is the first statement. So PQ is congruent to ST, and your first reason then is the actual word given. All right, so that's step 1. Step 2 in our steps that we wrote down was, or step 3, I should say. Step 1 is label the picture. We should do that. PQ is congruent to ST. So now it's marked. All right, so I'm going to look at my next one. QR is congruent to TR. So I'm going to label that in my picture. And then that's my second statement and my second reason. And the reason you're going to write given, because these are things that are given to you. All right. And then our next one, we have 3 givens for this problem, so we're going to have all of them written down. It says R is the midpoint of PS. Now I can't write anything for that or label anything for that in my diagram. That's actually going to be my next step in the proof, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But I am going to write that as my next statement, and then given as my next reason. All right, given. Oh, that darn cat. Rotor. All right, so I have now written down all 3 of my givens. And so then the last thing I want you to do, we're not going to fill the next step in. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But the next thing I want us to practice is that we always will write the prove statement as our last statement. So you can do that without even solving the proof. So we didn't solve our proof, but we know that the proof is always the last statement. So I can write that there. I do not know why those 2 triangles are congruent yet. So we will talk more about that tomorrow when we talk about finishing out the proof. So today, this is the stuff that I can do without doing any thoughts or work for it. You write your givens, you write your proven. So we're going to do that again, and we're going to do it in our side angle side proof number 1. And this is on page 3. So if you have these cut apart, this is on 3 in the bottom, side angle side proof number 1. So we're just going to do the first steps that I can. So label the picture. So it says X is the midpoint of VZ. and X is the midpoint of YW. I can't label anything. We know midpoint is going to split it into two congruent parts, but that's not what this tells us. We'll talk about that tomorrow, like I said, when we finish it. So I'm just going to write that down as my first statement, and then given as my first reason. So if you want to abbreviate midpoint, if you want to write this in 2 lines in there, that's just fine. All right, so then I have another given. So I'm going to jot that down. And its reason is given. So again, these are things you can do without doing any thought process on about what these mean. So these are like free points. So make sure that you're taking the time to do them. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jot my prove in the very last spot. Again, I don't know why it's congruent, but we'll figure that out when we fill the rest of this part in. So this is all we're practicing today, is writing in those first steps with a proof. So pause the video here if you need to jot this down or any of this down. Now I'm going to give us one more proof, and this one we eventually will solve. It's not in our booklet. So if you don't have those printouts, this is how we're going to do it. We start with making our T-chart. Statements and reasons. All right, so make your T-chart, and then it's just like we just did on the last 2 problems. I'm going to write my givens down. I'm just going to number them though so that I can keep them in line. Our first reason is given. Okay, I can mark that too. It says angle ATR. So ATR is going to be this angle up here, is congruent to angle STR. STR is this one down here. So I'm going to mark those. That's that step 1, label your picture. Okay, so I'm going to now do step 3. I'm going to write the next given. And its reason is also given because it's given to me. And then I can mark this in my picture. AT is congruent to ST. So AT is congruent to ST. So I only have 2 congruent for that one. And then, so I'm going to leave some space just to practice setting up my proof. And I'm going to write my proof. Now, if you notice, this proof is different than the one we saw yesterday. This is different than the 2 we saw. This one says angle S is congruent to angle A. We're going to talk about how we get to proving angles are congruent after we finish that. But I just wanted to put that out there. So in case you saw that on anything that we're practicing, know that it's okay and we'll get there. I don't know how many steps it's going to take me in between. So I'm just going to leave a big space and then I'm not going to be able to number it. So all I can do is just jot it down at the bottom. I'm not going to have it numbered. And again, I don't know my reason because I haven't figured out my 3 congruencies. And that is all I'm asking you guys to do for today. This is just the first steps of a proof. How do you set it up? So make sure you take time to rewind and pause if you need to keep writing something. Now, let's go ahead and talk about your assignment for today. So I'm going to pull that up here. Okay, so here it is shared. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like when you open it up. The first page in the blue is all the statements. So these are the things that would go on the left side of your proof. The second page is the green ones, and this is all the stuff that's going to go on the right side under reasons. Notice there's lots of givens. These are for all of the proofs here on slides 3 through 6. So we are actually going to do the full proof out. We are just going to take the time to set up the proofs like I did on the last example. So let's go ahead and look here at proof 1. So you're going to do all 6 of these proofs, all 8 of these proofs, just setting them up, okay? So I see here my first given is WX bisects angle ZXY. So I'm going to go back up to the blue page, and I'm going to look for the one that says WX bisects that angle. And I'm sure there's only one there. All right, so I see it here in my first column. So I'm going to highlight it, and I want to cut it. Okay, so then I can go back to my proof, and I'm going to click there, and I'm going to paste it. So you're probably going to have to do some dragging and click it in there. Okay, so that's my first given. So now I'm going to go to the reasons page, and I'm going to cut and paste one of my reasons, which is given. So those are the only reasons you're going to use today. So I'm going to drag and drop that in there and call that good on that step 1 and statement and reason. So now I'm going to do the second one. ZX is congruent to XY. Jump back to the blue ones. I'm looking for ZX is congruent to XY, and I see that here on the first column. I'm going to cut, and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to drag it into the right spot. And then I'm going to find given again. So we're going to go here, and I'm going to cut, and I'm going to paste and drag that into the appropriate spot. Okay, so then I'm out of givens. There was only 2. So then I see my proof. Triangle ZXV is congruent to triangle YXV. So I'm just actually going to look for the first half of it. I can't remember all of it. So triangle ZXV. So I'm going to go back to my blue, and I'm looking for triangle ZXV. I see triangles, triangles. All right, looking. Maybe you've already found it and I haven't yet. Triangle XCV. Oh, I see it. I totally could have found it a little easier. So I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to jump back, and I'm going to paste it, and drag it down, and problem 1 is done. Okay, that's all I'm expecting you to do for problems 2 through 8 is to put in the givens and put the prove in. You're not going to have any other reason for the prove because we don't know how many or what's the congruence statement. Okay, so please reach out with what questions you have. I am available from 10 to 11 today and 2 to 3 today. I will post those links in Zoom, or those Zoom links and passwords in the Google Classroom for you. So you can go ahead and jump on if you have more questions about this. But that's all I need you to do today on there. So I will be available, and I will see you guys later. Bye.